Letterman. I'm from Summit.
Yes.
On March 28, you voted for the repeal of the FCC rule protecting consumer privacy by barring internet providers from sharing data on customers' internet usage, browsing history, and geolocation information with third parties without their consent. In January 2014 and again in February 2015, in press releases, you applauded the DC Circuit Court for striking down net neutrality rules intended to keep the internet open and fair and prohibit internet service providers like AT&T, Comcast, and Verizon from speeding up, slowing down, or blocking any content, applications, or websites. The FCC received nearly 4 million consumer comments in favor of net neutrality, more than on any other issue in history. Now, robocalls and telemarketing calls are the #1 source of consumer complaints, but now the Republican National Committee, which is the fundraising arm of the RNC, wants to allow ringless voicemail, which would allow marketers to auto-dial our cell phones without them even ringing and go straight to voicemail to bombard us with unwanted pre-recorded messages. I'd like to see if there's a single person in the audience who likes that idea. How is it even a question whether people own and have control over their private information and their phones is beyond me. I am sure you can understand how it looks like you feel you owe more to the telecom industry that last year donated $43,000 to your campaign. Including $10,000 from AT&T and $10,000 from the Internet Television Association, than you do to your constituents. What are you going to do to stop the sabotaging consumer privacy and protections and control over our own lives, and to stop corporations from treating people as commodities for sale to the highest bidder? Great.
Thank you. I'll certainly examine the part of your question about the telephone calls, and that has not come before me.
That's a petition that only came out Friday.
Yes.
So that's not even really in the public's attention yet.
I'll certainly examine that, and that doesn't sound like a good idea to me, and I'd be happy to meet with you or others regarding that aspect of your larger question. Now, regarding your larger question, this is a dispute between two federal agencies in Washington, the FCC and the FTC. And traditionally, the internet has been governed by the FTC, not the FCC. And that's because the FCC was governing a public utility, the old-fashioned Ma Bell, and that was based upon a law, I think in the 1930s, when there was the monopoly by Ma Bell. Regarding the internet, I favor equal treatment for the internet service providers, the so-called ISPs, they would be Verizon and Comcast and others like that, and the edge providers, that would be Google and Yahoo. And I think that this should be administered by the FTC, as has traditionally been the case. And I have co-sponsored a bill with Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn that would require that both ISPs and edge providers get permission and that they be treated equally. No one in Congress is for selling private information. And the rule that was promulgated by the Obama administration in its dying days had never went into effect. And so the situation now is no different from what it was at any time, whatever. And I'm not saying that you're saying this, but some critics have said that somehow this changes where we were, and that is simply inaccurate. Regarding political contributions, I raise between $1 million and $200,000 every cycle, and of course, political consultants say you should raise more. I'm somewhere in the middle, probably the low middle of my colleagues. Certainly, New Jersey has a very strong telecom industry. and this district has a very strong telecom industry. It is one of the leading employers in this district. I want to assure you that I always vote my conscience. I will continue to do so. And I believe that these are matters that are best handled by the FTC, not the FCC. The FCC traditionally has been for public utilities, and I want an open internet and the innovation that comes from that. At the moment, the United States is without doubt the leader in the globe in the internet. I want that to continue, and I think that continues best with regulation by the FTC, not the FCC.
Well, that's not what the press releases on, still to this day on your website say. They say that you hailed the DC Circuit Court for striking down net neutrality rules. That is a quote from your website. On two separate occasions you said this, January 2014 and February 2015. Need to be regulated.
No, I think they should be regulated by the FTC.
That's not what your website says, because you think it will increase competition and consumer choice if they're not regulated. Being that we basically have no choice because internet providers essentially have monopolies in their areas, there is no choice. We also pay far more than any other country for worse internet access than any other country.
Thank you. I favor regulation by the FTC. Thank you for your question. Next question.